The thing that gets me excited is that there's demand to be captured for stuff. Like there's people out there searching for the thing that you have. I want to be found for it, and I want to be able to swing the bat. I want to be able to have an opportunity to help someone, and of course, make some bank in the process. What's wrong with that?
This is Alina Vandenberghe. I'm co-founder and co-CEO at Chili Piper, and today I'm wearing sunglasses because Gaetano is, so I figured I should match him.
Yes.
We're going to talk about storytelling, the pitfalls, and also the benefits of using customer stories to bring brand and also to bring the product value to your customers in a much better format.
My name, Gaetano Nino Dinardi, and I'm a growth marketer, plain and simple.
A growth marketer is for many marketers, right? You're working with multiple companies now?
Yeah, taking on some interesting projects. I was in-house full-time for many years, doing growth, demand gen, demand capturing. I was focusing on a lot of inbound channels. And I just decided this year that I would like to avoid the big company stuff and just work on things that I am very good at.
What does growth marketing means to you?
To me, growth marketing is about customer acquisition. It's really focusing at the bottom of the funnel. You're not doing as much education and nurturing and awareness building. You're marketing to people who are problem aware already, and they're actually in solution seeking mode. So the difference to me between growth marketing and everything else is that you're focusing more toward the bottom of the funnel.
What do you think is one misunderstood thing about growth marketing that people might have?
Yeah, I think one misconception is that it's lead gen. And I talked about this today at CXL, but essentially, the idea is that you have declared intent, certain conversion points across any website that is very much about I'm raising my hand, I'm ready to talk to someone, I'm very seriously considering this solution, versus assumed intent or implied intent, which might be something like I went to an event like CXL and I met Chili Piper for the first time. Well, there's not any real declared intent about Chili Piper there. We made our first interaction, or I may already be familiar with Chili Piper, but it was just nice to see you at an event. But it's not declared intent. That is an interaction. That is something else. So I think to your point on what is the misconception, it's that growth marketing equals lead gen.
I'm wondering within your view, what are the important metrics to look at when you look about growth marketing? What are the top 3 things one should pay attention to?
Yeah, it's all about lagging indicators. So, on the awareness building and education side, you tend to look more at leading indicators, things like engagement, average time on page, traffic, all those things that lead you to the lagging indicators, the outcomes, which is demo given and sat. So someone actually attended and showed up to the demo. They filled out a form for a demo request and they went through the process of getting the demo. They went through a discovery, right? So you want to look at things like that. Of course, was pipeline created as a result of this? Did a proposal get created and sent? And now that's real meaningful opportunity for a business. And then of course, conversion rates, close rates. So I look at that, those lagging outcomes.
Why did you get into this? What gets you excited in the morning about it?
The thing that gets me excited is that there's demand to be captured for stuff. There's people out there searching for the thing that you have. And wouldn't you wanna, if you're a good fit for those people who are searching for that solution, wouldn't you want to be found for that? Wouldn't you want to, of course, earn revenue from this, but also help people solve their problems? So I just love the idea of yes, I have a great solution for a big problem that's out there. I want to be found for it, and I want to be able to swing the bat. I want to be able to have an opportunity to help someone, and of course, make some bank in the process. What's wrong with that?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What are some of the changes that you're noticing this quarter compared to any other quarter now that the economy is weird and there's a downturn?
Yeah, one thing I've kind of experienced is that companies are trying to decrease paid acquisition and rely a little bit more on organic acquisition. So they're starting to understand that, like, you know, this paid motion, you know, as soon as I turn off the valve, it's going to stop, and this is becoming very expensive. And so how do we get into a place where there's like more free acquisition? Of course, you have to, you know, invest in the labor and effort to produce stuff that, you know, will be sustainable over time, such as organic search. But how do you get more community? How do you get more organic traffic? How do you get more life and longevity out of non-paid?
I know that you are very passionate about using storytelling as part of a marketing message. What got you so passionate about that?
All right, I have a good answer for this one. I'm glad you brought it up. So my identity was stolen in 2021. And then I went on to work for an identity theft company. It just so happened by, you know, timing that my identity was stolen at the time that I was interviewing to join an identity theft company. The irony of that is actually quite funny. But, you know, I remember the feeling of, I'm in Mexico, someone stole my phone, they hacked into my Apple account, my Gmail account, I'm completely locked out. I cannot get another phone because I'm in a foreign country. I have to get an emergency rush flight back home tomorrow. There's no flights today. I have to sleep tonight knowing that somebody is inside of all my shit and I have no access and I don't know what they're doing, and like I'm just completely terrified. And then I go into, you know, identity theft protection as a marketer, and I see the strategy, and I see like a lot of display ads with like, you know, quotes saying everybody gets their identity stolen, you know, a couple times a year, blah, 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 and using these, you know, advertising tactics to try and, you know, increase audience awareness and so forth. And then I realized, like, wow, this is so far apart from the feelings that I experienced during that moment. Why wouldn't we do storytelling? Why would we do display ads? Because you cannot even come close to you know, explaining the feeling that somebody is going through, a customer is going through, or could be going through with a display ad. So basically, that is the takeaway. It's like, try and get as close to the customer as you can, bring those stories out in your marketing and use that rather than the easy thing, which is use other materials, like some stat that came out from ftc.gov, and put that on a display, and then set up audience targeting criteria, and then dump a bunch of money into it and just see what you get. That is easy. What is hard is to get the real story, but the real story has the bigger ROI.
Indeed, the stories have bigger ROIs, and we resonate a lot more when we see a face talking about a problem rather than abstract words on a piece of paper or on a screen. How do you think, as a marketer, one can create a story that's emotional, that captures the essence? Because the problem is, when you experienced that theft, there was not a camera around you to like show you in your tough moments, right? You have to recreate that story afterwards. How do you think a marketer can do that? Like take somebody's story and make it a movie?
Yeah. I think exactly what you said is you have to find those people who are willing to talk about it. You know, whether you have to incentivize them or not, that's up to you to figure out. But you need to get those people that are willing to share those stories and then put a movie together on it. That's exactly how I would phrase it.
So marketers have to become movie directors.
Not everybody can become a movie director. I don't even think I could do it, but I mean, you guys are doing it here, for example. You guys are almost putting together mini stories, mini movies here. So like, yes, in essence, maybe you're right. Maybe companies do need to figure out, how do I get a movie department, a video department, at least somebody thinking about how to put together stories. I think that this is the only way.
Since marketers don't have the budgets to that Spielberg might have to put it together, there's still value in just having a camera and capturing the moments. The question is, how do you create that narrative? Like, what questions do you ask to be able to highlight the substance in the story?
Yeah, I think you know, kind of like reverse engineering what happened might give you the blueprint to that. I think also pattern detection over time. Like, once you talk to a lot of customers and you listen to a lot of calls, probably listening to calls is the best place to start. Like, that's usually the first place I will go.
When you go into storytelling mode, how do you think about crafting your narrative to something that ultimately converts?
Yeah, I like starting with the problem. I always like thinking of the problem, starting with the problem, laying it out there, and not in an exaggerative way, but in an honest and just very open way. So starting with the problem, then thinking about the impact of the problem, which obviously if you take identity theft as an example, you know, the impact is I'm gonna lose thousands of dollars if people get into my accounts, which unfortunately they did. And then the root causes of the problem. One might be not thinking it'll happen. Oh, it won't happen to me until it does, right? So like maybe just kind of cockiness about it, like it won't happen to me type thing. The other root cause might be something like sloppiness, which I already talked about, and then so on and so forth. And so crafting the story around like the problem, the impact of the problem, what might the root causes be, and then possible solutions at the end. So.
I'm noting myself as a consumer that I'm a lot more skeptical of reviews and customer stories that are produced by the company than I was in the past. And I would imagine that consumers are getting to the same place. How do you think, as a marketer, you can create stories that don't seem artificial and don't seem like there to paint a nice picture? Because the reality is that it's never perfect, right? You always have the good and the bad. How can you create those real, authentic stories about your product so that it doesn't feel artificial?
Yeah, that is very difficult. I think a lot of people are struggling with it, but here's what I'll say about examples that I think have done good. They call out actually their weaknesses. They address them head on. So they might say things like, yeah, we're not a good fit if you're X, or who are we not a good fit for? Well, we actually don't solve this. So if you're looking for that, we may not do a good job. I've actually seen some SaaS companies create pages who we're not a good fit for and put that in their navigation. Or I've seen a lot of agencies do this, like things we don't do for clients, right? And so I think maybe addressing some of that stuff head on might be a good way to not just like make a better experience for the end user, but like to make it better for your own internal teams, make sales not waste time on opportunities that might not be a good fit, and so on and so forth.
And how can you also highlight the experiences that somebody that's a good fit comes in and, I don't know, they have a ugly bug, or they have a conversation with a CS team that doesn't go right. It happens at every SaaS company. People try to sweep them under a rug, but they do happen. How do you, as a SaaS company, just be transparent about, yes, this person had a bug, this is how they went, and this is how it worked? Because I wonder if there's a way for us to craft authentic stories and not try to sweep things under a rug. Because I see marketers don't do it.
Yeah, marketers, we don't do it. And I don't know, we're not incentivized to do it. We're incentivized to make ourselves look beautiful and great and amazing. And I think that's also why affiliate sites and review sites are very well positioned to thrive in the long-term future, because it's one of the only places where you can get a con or a negative, or like an example when I worked in identity theft was there's a company called security.org, top affiliate site in the space. And they would review very in-depth, like comprehensive teardowns of products in the space. And they would say cons, for example, doesn't expand internationally, not available in Europe, for example. If you're a company that doesn't offer your product and service in Europe, maybe you should just say that, right? Because instead of wasting someone's time, because that did come up actually for identity theft, was like people in Canada trying to sign up for a free trial and not able to. You might have been able to avoid that if you were just more transparent about that. And so, I don't know if I have a great answer actually, but
I actually think it's a great actionable tip is relying on an affiliate network to talk about all the things that are going well, but also the things that might not be perfect, and just highlighting that and not sweep them on the rug, and then people get disappointed when they get.
Exactly. When I was working in voice over IP, actually, we leveraged this a lot, because there was one guy in our space, affiliate guy, and he would do very in-depth teardowns of all the providers, and he would, do a very in-depth video, like a 8-9 minute video, and he would talk about all the good, but he would also talk about the bad. And I would say to executives like, hey, we should test putting this video content on some of our checkout pages and see what it does. And they're like, oh, there's some negative in there. We can't do it. Well, yeah, well, they're going to find it anyway. They're going to search, X company reviews. Is X company good at this? Blah, blah, blah. They're going to find it eventually. So, why hide it?
And people talk. It is a dark funnel, and people know exactly what's behind the scenes.
Exactly. So, yeah, maybe that is the answer. Rely on your affiliate partners to do the dirty work for you.
Maybe. All right, it was a pleasure to have you today. I feel like we could go on forever. I'm going to have to eventually stop, but it was great to talk to you.
Likewise.